In 1645, a ship full of treasure wrecked and sank to the bottom of the sea. More than 360 years later, Walter's private salvage team has brought these treasures back to light. However, they were detained by Spanish customs before they raised their glasses to celebrate, because Walter's salvage took place in Spanish waters. In addition, there are records that this is the property that the British plundered from the Spanish royal family. Therefore, the Spanish government wants the ownership of the salvage. Walter is British. He sought help from a friend, a female intelligence officer in the London Intelligence Service. But after the International Court of Justice in The Hague, Walter lost the case. In May 2010, the Spanish government sent the salvage to a Spanish bank in Madrid for safekeeping. Walter was unwilling to waste years of hard work and decided to break into the bank to steal treasure. But he also needs the help of a key person. Tom is a gifted engineering student at Cambridge University. Helped oil companies solve oil spills in the Gulf of Mexico. It is a talent that many big companies can't ask for. Walter finds Tom, hoping that Tom can help him get into the Spanish bank vault, which is said to be the most secure in the world. Tom is not interested in money, but loves challenges and solving engineering problems the most. After a little hesitation, Tom flew to Madrid, joined Walter's team of 5. In July 2010, during the World Cup in South Africa, a large number of fans would gather in the main square in front of the Bank of Spain. Watch the game on the big screen. At that time, the security attention will be transferred to the square. This creates the perfect opportunity for them. Walter's real goal is 3 coins in a box. According to reliable sources, the coordinates on the 3 coins point to a larger hidden treasure. But breaking into a bank is no easy task, because banks are full of cameras and sensors. And across the road is the headquarters of the Spanish army. 500 security personnel were stationed to respond to the attack. There is also the bank's security chief, who is the commander-in-chief of the Spanish anti-terrorist force. Even more difficult to deal with. Currently, Walter has only a rough outline of the vault drawn by a former bank employee. Know that there is a bridge leading to the vault gate. The gate requires 2 keys and the security officer's thumbprint. This vault was built in the 19th century. The security device in it is called an engineering marvel, and no one has yet been able to crack it. That's the engineering principle that Tom needs to solve. First, they used a magnetometer to map the vault's orientation. So they have to go to the bank for a trip. Since the bank's security system used Interpol facial records, and member James used to be a special forces soldier, the system can identify his information. So he can't get into the bank. Now only Tom can use the magnetometer. He can only replace James and go to the bank with another member, Simon. Next, they called the cleaning company in the name of the bank, falsely claiming that the bank had an alert problem. The cleaning service for the next day was cancelled. The next day, Tom and Simon entered the bank disguised as cleaners. The only female member, Lorraine, has a public identity as an art appraisal expert. She made an appointment with the bank in advance to come to the door to appraise the 2 works of art. So when Tom and Simon were in place, she went into the bank above board, and then taking the opportunity to ask the security supervisor to help her get her coffee, cleverly obtained the thumbprint of the security director. Member Chris is an expert in hacking. Under his operation, Simon avoided monitoring and came to the bank's computer server to plug in the intrusion port. This allows Chris to play tricks on the bank surveillance screen. After Lorraine came to the bank chairman's office, Chris recorded her scanning and identifying the famous painting, then used the slow playback mode to cover the real-time monitoring screen, and cover Lorraine to open the safe and copy the key. On the other side, Tom took the magnetometer to the conference room directly above the vault to measure. At this moment, the chairman of the bank suddenly came to the office. Fortunately, Lorraine had just put the key back and was not found. But Chris informed her that she must return to the front of the painting within 20 seconds to match the playing screen. Otherwise she will be seen through. Lorraine had a sudden wit and asked the chairman to help her take a panoramic photo of her work. The request of the beauty, the chairman, is not easy to refuse. When he retreated to the door to take pictures, he just exited the surveillance screen. Lorraine resolved the crisis safely. Later, with the cooperation of Chris, Lorraine came to another office. Start copying another key. However, on the other side, Tom is in big trouble. The bank staff suddenly came to the conference room for a meeting, forcing him to hide under the table. The magnetometer also suddenly stopped working. Tom reconnected the power and completed the measurement. But it also triggered a fire alarm because of voltage fluctuations. The alarm sounded, and the security chief immediately ordered all entrances and exits to be blocked. Gather all the people in the bank into the lobby. At the same time, order someone to check the vault. The army across the road also moved quickly, blocking the street outside. Meanwhile, Lorraine is notified by Chris that the chairman is coming to her right away. Lorraine didn't have time to put the key back. He immediately walked out of the office, followed the chairman, and left together. After Walter learned of the situation, he told Lorraine to quietly throw the keys to Tom, who had not yet been gathered into the hall when she came downstairs. Fortunately, Tom caught the key firmly. Then he quickly went upstairs from the side, put the key back in the safe. The bank did not detect anything unusual and let everyone go. But security chiefs always feel that the alarm doesn't go off for no reason. From the azimuth map measured by the magnetometer, the vault is seen under a large water tank. And there's an empty room under the vault. Once the security alarm is triggered, The vault is filled with water and sinks into the empty chamber. No one will come out by then. To crack it, they needed to figure out what the trigger was, considering the age of the vault's construction. So it's impossible to use modern technology like motion sensors. Tom thought from a sculpture in the vault painted by a former employee of the bank. This sculpture should be a statue of the goddess of justice. That means the trigger should be a giant balance scale. Once the vault's weight changes, it will be submerged and then sink. Next, when James and Simon mapped the tunnel route, found the copper foundation supporting the balance machine, thus confirming Tom's inference. But the bad news is that Walter's plan to drill into the vault through an underground hole won't work. Just when the theft plan was about to be put on hold, Walter suddenly found that when the crowd gathered in the main square in front of the bank, all cameras will turn from the direction of the bank building to the direction of the square. In this way, they can enter the bank through the roof of the building. The World Cup final is 4 days away, and they must seize this last chance. Now the pressure is on Tom. He had to figure out a solution to the balance problem as soon as possible. At the bank, the security director learned from a cleaner that they received a notice from the bank the day before yesterday and did not send anyone to clean the bank. The security supervisor retrieves the surveillance video, got a photo of Tom and Simon posing as cleaners. However, because the two did not have any illegal records, no information could be found. He sent the photos to Interpol and Europol. The exposure of Tom and Sim makes James have the intention of quitting. Walter believes that, although the bank guessed that someone wanted to enter the vault, but don't know how, so they still have a chance. Then Walter asked the female intelligence officer of the London Intelligence Department to help release the false news that Tom and Simon had been arrested on the condition of dividing half of the treasure, and falsely claimed to have found the blueprints of the Bank of Spain, the Bank of Zurich and the Bank of London from their USB drives. This would make the Spanish bank feel that the two thieves were not targeting them. Soon after, when Tom, who was brooding, was pulled to the bar to relax, get inspiration from a bartender, he came up with a weighing mechanism that freezes the base of the balance with liquefied nitrogen, so that the balance will not respond even if the weight is added. So before entering the vault, they also need to prepare spray guns, fire suits and 500 liters of liquefied nitrogen. The method is there, but there is one less person to enter the bank. Because the vault requires one person to press the fingerprint and another person to turn the key at the same time to open the door. Walter is the commander-in-chief not fit to enter the bank. At a critical moment, Tom volunteered and willing to take risks with everyone. After the plan was agreed, everyone started their preparations. Chris extracted the security director's fingerprint with a coffee cup, made a fingerprint, and then used a 3D printer to make a key. Simon and James also got enough liquefied nitrogen. As Spain and the Netherlands compete for the World Cup title, Madrid's crowds gather in the square in front of the bank, cheering for the Spanish team in front of the big screen. Tom followed James and Lorraine into the bank from the roof of the bank building. Chris fiddled with the surveillance footage, covering them through the ventilation duct in the reference room to the elevator shaft, and then through the elevator shaft down the road to the basement. Then used the ladder to go outside the vault through the broken empty room gully. With the help of the genius Chris, who quickly cracked the dynamic password, the three of Tom successfully entered the first gate. Then James took the fingerprint film to verify the identity of the security director. Tom and Lorraine inserted the keys at the same time. The heavy vault door opened. The goal is within reach. After Simon, who was at the base, got the news. Start spraying liquefied nitrogen at the balance metering device. When the frost spread on the floor of the vault, the three of Tom entered the vault and quickly opened the boxes to look for coins. But at this moment, the sensor in the bank lobby sounded an alarm. The guard rushed to see a pigeon in the hall, thus discovering the opening in the roof. The security supervisor did not see any abnormality from the monitoring screen. Only then did he realize that the monitoring had been compromised. Lorraine finds the 3 coins and learns that they have been exposed. Walter decisively ordered them to go out of the vault and surrender to the guards, otherwise they will all die. Just then another accident happened. James suddenly defected and drew his gun to force Lorraine to hand over the coins. It turned out that he was also bought by the female intelligence officer of the intelligence department. Special forces never retire, he said. Lorraine had to hand over the coin, but before they ran out of the vault, freezing fails, triggers the balance mechanism, and closes the vault door. And start quickly filling the vault with water. The alarm went off, and the security chief learned that the thieves had entered the vault. James has amazing physical strength and rich diving experience. Swim out through the water inlet against the current. Walter watched Tom and Lorraine struggling in the water, very distressed, and wanted to call the bank to turn off the water. Tom reminded him of no use. Because the water filling device is automatic, it will only stop when the vault is filled. At the moment of life and death, he forced himself to calm down, finally figured out how to escape. There are no sensors in the vault to detect the water level. This means that the water can only be stopped when the corresponding weight is reached. So he hurriedly asked Simon at the base to find a way to add weight to the balance. Simon moved all the empty liquefied nitrogen bottles to the balance. But the water level keeps rising. In the end, there was nothing to use, and he put the radio for listening to the football game on the balance. Unexpectedly, it was really a little bit short, and the agency stopped pouring water into it. But it all seemed too late. The water in the vault has flooded Tom and Roland. At the same time, the bank cut off the intrusion port. Chris has no control over the surveillance footage. The safety supervisor saw Tom and Lorraine trapped in the water. Walter lost contact with them immediately after Tom destroyed the camera. After a while, water began to pour out of the vault. But when the security chief brings people into the vault, Tom and Lorraine are gone. It turned out that the two waited until the vault began to drain. Enter the under drain from the drain, and then enter the bank hall through the ventilation duct. The safety supervisor found their trail along the water trail and chased them. Lorraine remembered that the chairman of the bank had a habit of opening the windows to smoke. Then she and Tom ran into the chairman's office and escaped through the window. They took off their coats and went into the square. With Spain's goal, the hunt was lifted from the frenzied crowd. The next day James handed the coin to the female intelligence officer. But the coordinates above point to the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Only then did the female intelligence officer know that she had been deceived. It turned out that Walter had already prepared 3 fake coins. After Lorraine found the coins, she quickly exchanged it. They located the coordinates on the coin and found the treasure buried just below the Bank of England in London. 2 years later, the genius team was back in action. Well-orchestrated bank theft will happen again. Alright, that's it for today. If you like it, don't forget to like and follow. Thanks for watching, see you next time.